So we're in the middle of filming installing the lockers on the Semi 6. And the third axle had a ton of water in it. And we don't really particularly do a lot of deep water crossings, so I'm assuming that this water accumulated over time, just from how wet it has been out here. These OEM breathers are just a thing of the past. You need to upgrade. TRE sent us this awesome diff breather kit. This kit will do your differentials, gearbox, and transfer case. On our particular setup, since we have 3 axles, we're going to not do the gearbox, and we're going to do all 3 axles and the transfer case. Gives you a nice kit here, some nice airline, nice billet block to mount up on your firewall, and then all the fittings and zip ties you'll need to mount everything with these nice breathers, and it locates it all in one spot under the hood. That way you really know your limit when you're doing water crossings. You know at what point am I going to have to drain my diffs when I get out of this. And in our case, we're going to be putting it probably up here under the hood somewhere, probably on the driver's side over there, just so I know if the water gets that high for some reason, then it's time to check all our fluids. So I had a small mishap. I drilled a through hole for this and didn't realize that the threads wouldn't be long enough to go through the casting. So I ended up JB welding it into the housing. That's going to set up real nice. It'll be solid. I'll tighten that sometime tomorrow before I put oil in it. It's all installed. I'm going to take these bolts out one at a time, thread lock, and torque them. These are our old axles with the wimpy little 22 spline ends. Our new long-filled axle shafts. Our 26 spline inners and 33 spline outers with some serious beef. Look at the size difference. The stock ones will come right out the knuckle hole. You don't have to take the knuckle off to change the axle shaft. The new ones, you have to remove the whole knuckle to put the axle shaft in, because it uses all the available space inside that ball on the end of the axle. Everything was in pretty good shape. I just did wheel bearings recently, so I didn't want to disrupt those. I'm going to grease them a little bit, keep going. I didn't take them apart. And there's the diff that's about to come apart. Gonna put our new locker in. No more one tire fire. Kind of cool. Still markings on there. I don't know if that's somebody's initials or what. From when it was new. I always lay everything out as I'm taking it off, side to side. I've never had any problems putting them in and leaving the side that your gear gets pushed against intact. This threaded ring is within adjustments that they set when they set this gear lash. If I leave this threaded ring in here, slide my differential out, swap everything over and put it back in, and the gear mesh feels good, I'm gonna send it on its way. Our new locker. Cannot wait to see this thing operate. It's going to be so cool to lock everything in. Every time the Samurai has struggled on something, there's always been at least 3 tires sitting there doing nothing. Test fit our axle shafts. So this next part's a little tedious. They show them putting the whole diff into a 3-jaw chuck on a lathe. I obviously don't have a lathe here. But what I do have is my home brewed strap wrench. I made this a while ago. I use it pretty much every day. I use it for holding crank pulleys and stator pulleys on side-by-sides. Super handy. I'm gonna put that around here. I'm going to stand it up on the table and clamp it down. And then these bolts all need to get torqued to 56 to 66 foot-pounds. So we're going to do somewhere in the middle of that. I'm going to paint mark them as I go so I don't miss any. Clean these first. That way my paint marker will stick. careful not to mess up my wires here. Down there. A couple pieces of heater core hose on there. It helps keep from marring anything up that I'm strapping. Stand this up like this. Let's go this way. Set on the table. Just a clamp. Pretty solid. Alright, steal this. Looking pretty awesome. All right. So towards the end of that, I dropped the threaded ring out on purpose because I thought this was going to be one of the lockers where you could cheat a little bit and leave this side adjusted in the threaded collar and put your locker in, and then just all you have to do is tighten this side up. And normally your lash should be set perfect then. This is a little thicker, it pushes the bearing out a little farther, so you do have to readjust. Luckily, no matter how much you adjust this, the distance from the edge of this tooth to the edge of this casting is going to be the same. So I used my calipers here to take a measurement before I took the whole thing apart, and I measured from the edge of the tooth to the edge of this casting. That'll get me super close. The rest I can do by feel. I've been doing enough of these. I've done a lot of aluminum housing over to steel housing swaps, and I've never actually had to paint them, and they last years with no issues. So I'm going to do the same technique here. I measured there. I'm going to get this in there, get the other cap on, thread it up, get it nice and centered, and then I'll use that as my reference for my measurement to get it close, see how it feels. Might have to do some fine-tune adjustments, but it's going together. So, in case it was hard to see what I was doing there, I wrote down my spec right there before I took the old one apart, and I set my caliper there. And I'm going right off the edge here of the tooth, and I'm lining the other side of the caliper up with the edge of that casting, And that's how I'm setting it. Everything looks good, rolls good, it's got good lash, it's good to go. So I forgot an important part. I definitely should have drilled this hole before getting this far. But I think what we're gonna do is, I don't wanna take it back apart. So I'm gonna put some grease in here where the hole is gonna get drilled. And I'll flip it upside down and drill it so that all the chips will get caught on the grease, and then I'll just wipe it out. The next ones I'm definitely gonna drill while it's apart. So, and I'm finding everything feels good. I'm gonna look up a torque spec for these. I've got good preload on my bearings, and gonna put my locks in. Probably pull these out one at a time, throw a little bit of red Loctite on them just to be safe. And this one will be ready to go back in. We'll clean up the housing a little bit, get her siliconed up, shove it back in, and then we can move on to getting these axles fitted in there. I didn't get new wiper seals for the knuckles, so I'm gonna have to wait on that. I'm just gonna reuse what I have for now, but they didn't come in time. We're going to do a quick test. We're going to hook this up, make sure she works. Look at that, it's engaging. You can see how this ramps up that little ramp and forces these pins in. That's what locks the differential. Now if I take away the voltage, it'll just turn. That is freaking awesome. This is going to be an absolute game changer for the Sammy 6. So we got the locker all installed in the third axle, all installed in the front axle. We got everything wired up. Now comes the time to put the locker in the dreaded third axle. The middle axle is the most complicated axle because that's where all the magic happens. That's where our chain drive is. It transfers our power from one pinion to the next. There's a lot of work going on here, and I've been building it up in my head and making it into a bigger deal than it actually is. But I'm starting to think, when I originally mounted this, I welded it around the pinion, and then I put these tubes in here and welded them solid because I was a little under the gun when I was building it. I wanted it done for an event, so I just mounted those in there, and later I was like, you know what, I don't need to make it unbolt because I can always just cut these and make the tubes unbolt later. I think I'm going to do exactly that, but I'm probably just going to weld it right back in there. So I'm going to cut these tubes with the Sawzall and then probably remove it as one whole chunk with the gearbox on there. And that'll be actually kind of cool because then I can throw it up on the table and you guys can get a better look at how it all works. So I'm going to get these axle shafts out, I'm gonna cut that. I'm gonna drop the third member out and start putting the locker in. So everybody's wondered how it all works, how it works, why it doesn't break. So this is my setup for the tandem on the Sammy 6. We got a stock Suzuki Samurai rear drive shaft going in, and inside there is a 1/4 inch plate with a hollowed out double roller size 50 chain sprocket welded to the 1/4 inch shim plate, and I just used grade 8 5/16 bolts, drilled them out just a touch. And then up here, inner plate is 1/2 inch, that's welded right around the pinion. These stubs come out and they were mounted to the axle housing. They're going to get welded back together because I didn't want to rely on these little bolts to hold this whole mess. So the drive shaft turns. There's a tensioner in there that's adjustable, and it just spins the chain. It's engaged all the time. Open chain. Literally did this to prove concept, to make sure it would work before I put all the work into building a sealed box with oil and seals and all that. That one's in the works. It's not done yet. This is a year of abuse. Literally yesterday. A year ago yesterday was when this got installed. And I haven't even replaced the chain yet. And I beat the ever-living crap out of this thing. And it takes it. I go through a few U-joints, but nothing too crazy. And it's been a super reliable setup. So it feels here like I have a little bit of play in my keyway inside there. It's just a 1-inch keyed shaft. But for a year worth of abuse, it probably just needs a new keyway. I'm gonna replace the keyway here. I'm gonna rebuild this. I'll probably set the camera up for, I want to put new bearings in here. I want to inspect this shaft, inspect the tensioner, make sure everything's good. I've got new tensioner, I've got a new chain in case I find anything crazy. But if I pull this apart and everything's good, I'm just going to slap bearings in it, maybe a new keyway, put it back together, and then it's going back into Sammy. So our shaft is twisted. Keyway looks a little waddled out. Bearing locked up and spun on there. This is a problem because my spare shafting that I had for these type of situations is not in this state right now. I put it in my dad's truck when we were on our way back from Missouri because I didn't think we would need it on that trip. And he's come out here a couple times since, and I forgot to retrieve my spare parts out of his truck. So I need to get this diff back installed in there and get it welded up tonight. And then in the morning, I got to run to, there's a local machine shop. They have 1-inch keyed shaft in stock. They're going to cut me some new key stock and a new shaft. So shout out to Gillum Machine. They came in clutch here and got us back together